Hi folks, I'd like to give you a sneaky persuasion tip today. And I want you guys to go out and test this because it's really kind of fun. When people give you an objection, whether it is or on a job interview, or if you're in a sales situation, or if you're just asking a favor for a friend, or if you're asking for a date, okay? You know, you're going to run into objections all the time. Now, there are lots of things you can go and write a book and or read a book, and they'll tell you things like, make them say no 3 times. Well, to me, that seems like I need to make them mad 3 times before they give up, which I think is a terrible way to connect with someone. I think it's a bad idea, and if you do it, it's just stupid. All right? Now, the first thing I do, well, let me back up a little bit. When someone brings up an objection, and just, what does that mean? They bring up an objection, all right? Which means they move from a feeling of objection and they place it right between you. So now they're looking at you through their objection, all right? Now, the first thing I want to do, and I want to act as quickly as possible, is I want to get that objection out of the way. All right, now the way that we do this is actually quite interesting. If you take the objection, all right, and treat it as if it's a real thing, and then move it out of the way, move it to the side, all right? Now, this is step 1 in handling objections. So, what I would do is somebody would say, well, I'm not sure I can do that. And I would go, oh, that's fine, okay? Normally, and I would grab the objection, okay? I treat it like it's real. And I take it, listen, I understand. Normally that would be true. Okay? But let's think about it this way for a second. Or let me give you a different idea. All right? Grab the objection, slide it aside. Normally that would be true. Now, you can experiment with this yourself, all right? If I were going to ask you to do something like, oh, I need you to come over to my house and wash my car. Boom, objection. Vizinni, I don't want to wash your car. Yeah, I understand that. Now get a feeling for how that feels to not want to wash my car. All right? And if I take that and say, I understand that, all right? And normally that would be true. All right? Now notice the difference between the objection is right here and when I grab the objection and slide it out of frame. Okay? This is really good about this because this frame right here is about the frame of attention people have. So when you take it and slide it out of frame, you're removing that objection. All right? It's a process of what is called anchoring that we teach in our persuasion seminars. That's really incredibly powerful. But basically what you're doing is you're taking the objection, you're anchoring it, and you're moving that anchor out of the way. So you're actually moving the emotion. Now, my buddy did this in the $1.5 million deal. And so this guy came up with the objection, and he goes, yeah, I understand. Normally that would be true, okay? And the guy sat in his chair, and he just moved forward. Well, my buddy's a bit of a pain in the butt, and pretty funny. So then he grabbed it, and he brought it back. And the guy moved backwards. He physically moved backwards into his chair, further away from my friend. So, and then he took it, and he just set it aside, and the guy sat back up. And he goes, maybe Vizinni has something to do with this. This actually could maybe work. So you set it aside. So you're visually moving it out of the way. You want that out of the way. All right. Now, if you just let it sit there, these things are kind of tenacious. You'll get it out of the way, and it'll be outside of someone's awareness. All right. But they like to tend to drift back if you let them just sit there. All right. The second half of the process, all right, is normally that would be true. But let me give you something else to think about for a second. All right. Now I've taken this. Let me think about something else to think of for a second, and now that is there. So even if this tries to drift into the way, that's out of the way. And it's a very simple way of visually moving it away. Now there's something else I'm doing. Okay, I'm also using the power of my voice to lead them. Okay, think about it. Normally that would be true. All right, what's my tonality? It's kind of a questioning tonality. Normally that would be true. Okay, and then I'm telling them what to do. But let me give you something else to look at. And we'll look at this, and then if that's still true, we'll deal with it at that time. How's that sound? All right. Normally that would be true. Tonal shift. Okay, normally doubt. That would be true. Tonal shift. But let me give you something else to look at. Let me give you command, something else to look at. You are using anchors, you're using space, you're using your voice, you're using positioning, and the other thing that you're using is a level of rapport, where you're saying, you know, you're using your positions of power, where normally that would be true, a slightly dominant position. Okay, but let me give you something else to think about. Moving from kind of a subordinate position to a dominant position. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, I meant it's dominant. But I'm moving subordinate. Normally that would be true, but let me give you something else to think about. All right, and just listen to the voice tone, the subtle. Now, inside of a conversation, this would not look like anything. It wouldn't. No, I've seen these guys. Normally this would be true, but let's set this aside and let me give you this to think about instead. Okay, yeah, you're going to get busted on that. You might, even then, you might not, because a lot of people aren't really paying attention. But conversationally, well, I'm not really sure I'm doing anything. Well, normally that would be true, but let me think about this. Let me give you something else to look at for a second, and then we'll see if this is true or not. Okay, now I add in, let me see if this is true or not, while I nod my head, no, it's not true. Okay, so now I'm using positioning, their mind, moving, my position of power, a command. It's like a nonverbal command that no, that's not true. All right, now any one of these things will probably work really well, but if you do them all together, you can annihilate objections without arguing. Okay, see, here's what normally happens. Somebody comes up with an objection, and then you're going to sit there and start telling them reasons that objection is invalid. Okay, well, if I have this here and I'm constantly trying to attack that reason why it's invalid, what I'm doing is actually building up resistance with, so what I'm trying. This is an emotional objection, and I'm trying to use logic to overcome emotion, and that will never, ever, ever work. So, sneaky persuasion skill. I want you to go out and try it, and just little things, and see what you can do with it. And have a sense of play about it. Have some fun with it. I've seen people use this in job interviews to get more money. Going out for a date. Oh, I don't usually date guys like you. Well, normally that would be true. But let me show you something here that may change your mind. It's really hard, to not be affected by that in any way, shape, or form. Right? And it's easy. You're not going, but it has this much money, it has this much value. I'm a good guy. I'm worth this. I'm worth that. I'm worth that. I'm worth that. You have to generate such an incredible mountain of disproof to attack this, when it's so much easier just to grab it and slide it out of the way. All right, so this is when we will be doing many things just like this, and over the next few weeks I'm going to be giving you these kinds of things to think about. Now we have our seminar coming up in London. I think the Persuasion seminar is the end of April, 1st of May. Very powerful seminar. If you want to start being able to influence others and start getting your way, you need to start learning how to using influence and persuasion in a way that you might not have thought of before. All right, it sounds conversational. It shouldn't sound false. It shouldn't sound fake. It should just sound very matter of fact. Okay, and believe it or not, this one simple little skill can almost annihilate any objection you come up with. So go out and play with it. Take a look at our seminars. If you can't make it to a seminar, our anchoring and other sneaky stuff videos is what I recommend you go take a look at. All right, well, you guys have fun, and I'll talk to you later.